Okay, guys, so we are back. I am back with more crypto news. So the first story I want to get into is a story from Blockfi. Well, it's a story covering Blockfi, and the title reads, "BlockFi, BlockFi offering employee buyouts just 1 month after cutting staff by 20%." In an effort to avoid more layoffs while struggling to adjust to market conditions, BlockFi initiated a quote unquote voluntary separation program for employees. Crypto, I'm going to read an excerpt from this article. Cryptocurrency lender BlockFi, which just a few weeks ago finalized a $400 million loan and potential acquisition terms with crypto exchange FTX, is offering employee buyouts as a way to quietly reduce headcount. The move comes just 1 month after cutting 20% of its staff. A BlockFi employee told Decrypt that the company is offering employees 10 weeks paid leave and 10 weeks of continued health insurance, commonly referred to as COBRA, which stands for Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act, to resign. The source also said that the company has assured employees that if they accept the buyout, they will be eligible for unemployment. Now, it's kind of fascinating to me the lengths that some of these companies are willing to go to just to save face. Because really, what they're doing, and I'm sure many of you already guessed, they're still just firing people. They're still laying people off. Whether you want to call it firing, whether you want to say they got laid off, whether you want to say they've been furloughed, whether you want to say it's a voluntary separation program. Like, who talks like this? Like, at the end of the day, they're getting rid of a bunch of their staff, which lets you know they're still having a really hard time adjusting, like, to the current conditions, and who knows how much shady stuff they've already been involved in. Like, I just did a story just yesterday about Three Arrows Capital and how they owe $3.5 billion to a bunch of different companies. BlockFi is one of the companies that loaned money to Three Arrows Capital. So who knows how many other shady things BlockFi could have ties to. So I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on that. Do you think BlockFi will survive all of this? Like, do you think they'll get out of this storm, or do you think it's over for them? Next story here is still, it's another story from Decrypt, and it reads, "Bill a bill giving the CFTC crypto powers could go to vote this year. A new bill overhauling crypto oversight may go to a preliminary vote by the end of 2022 as U.S. senators sound alarms amid the latest crash." I'm gonna read a quick excerpt from this article. "Bitcoin may soon see new legislation that would define the asset class as a commodity, leaving years of legal uncertainty behind it. A bipartisan congressional attempt to grant authority over the crypto industry to the Commodities and Futures Trading Commissions as opposed to the Securities and Exchange Commissions, which has historically held sway over the industry, may move to a vote as soon as the end of this year, according to Senator Kristen Gillibrand, a co-sponsor of the bill who spoke at this year's Bloomberg Crypto Summit. Quote, the Agricultural Committee is finalizing their bipartisan part of the bill, unquote. Gillibrand told Bloomberg on Tuesday. The New York senator added that there was a serious common ground forming. Now, I thought this article was definitely interesting. I think you guys should definitely check it out. And let me know in the comments. Do you think crypto would be better off if it was listed as a commodity instead of like cash? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely think we might be better off like if it was regulated as a commodity instead of a security. And I'm not saying I trust people at the CFTC, because again, when it comes to government, I don't trust these government officials regardless. But I'd much rather a bunch of the digital assets we invested in be linked to the CFTC than the SEC. Gary Gensler has already showed you that he's a failure. He's already showed you that he's corrupt. He's already shown you that his only goal here is to squeeze as much money out of these companies as possible and set Wall Street up to profit from all of this. He is just a puppet. So I really would rather see crypto be labeled as a commodity. But let me know what you guys think about all this. And what do you think, or what do you think crypto should be labeled as? Do you think it should go by neither or one or the other? So the next story I want to get into from somebody who goes by the name Crypto Assets Guy, and it reads, accumulate and climb tiers. And then this is basically he essentially just created like a hierarchy of XRP holders and how much of XRP would put you in each category. So I'm gonna start from the bottom to the top. From like the bottom one is the shrimp, which is 1,000 people who have about 1,000 XRP. A crab would be people who have 5,000 XR or more XRP. Octopus is people who have 15,000 plus XRP. Dolphin is people who have 60,000 plus XRP. Shark is people who have 100,000 plus XRP. Whale are people who have 200,000 XRP. And big whale is equivalent to people who have 500,000 XRP. Now that's pretty random. I'm not gonna say random, but instead of random, I'd rather say it's a little unnecessary, because at the end of the day, this is all relative. Like, that's that's what's considered a lot to somebody is relative to what the price of XRP currently is. Because at the end of the day, if we wake up tomorrow and XRP is $200, then even having 1,000 of it makes you a whale. Look at Bitcoin right now. If you see somebody move 20 Bitcoin at once, guess what? They get posted on those like whale alert channels. Like, people react as if it's a big deal because it's worth a lot of money. So again, I don't think lists like that truly matter a whole lot, but I still think it's kind of interesting to see people's reaction to it. So the next post I want to get into here, it's actually Jeremy Hogan responding to somebody, but the person he's responding to is somebody named Eleanor Terrett, and her post says, Representative Brad Sherman seemed very confident that XRP is a security under the Howey test, despite calling the Howey test relatively ancient in his opening remarks. And Jeremy Hogan responded by saying, I've spent hundreds of hours reviewing the XRP pleadings, discussing with lawyers, and researching legal issues, and I still have not made a conclusion that XRP is or is not a security, because we have not seen the evidence yet. Mr. Sherman must be a legal genius or a sham. I'm more inclined to believe that he's a sham. But that's just me, and maybe a few people outside of a few people within the community probably feel the same way. So in that same vein, Stuart Alderati was responding to a post from the Block. The Block post said, U.S. Representative Brad Sherman urges the SEC to quote unquote go after crypto exchanges that had traded in XRP. And Stewart's response was, Can I get a fact check on aisle 2, please? Representative Sherman, the U.S. has not, in fact, no country has, determined XRP to be a security. When elected officials don't understand, the mere filing of a case by the SEC doesn't determine anything. It's more than concerning. And I absolutely agree. Like, you have all these people who are already acting as if it's already set in stone, because again, they're so used to getting their way. Like the guy Brad Sherman, like and the Gary Gensler, like all these like puppets, they're so used to getting their way when it comes to the shady stuff that they do, and they don't know how to handle all this pressure that the crypto community has put on them. They don't know how to handle all this pressure that the XRP community has put on them for calling them out for their nonsense. They don't know what to do. They're just trying to, I'm gonna get into what they're trying to do to us in a later in this video. But next post here, it's Brad Garlinghouse responding to Stuart Alderati, where he's saying Representative Brad Sherman was a magna cum laude at Harvard Law. He must know better, but is trying, yet again, to advance a political agenda over sound policy and ignoring what the law actually says. And again, that goes into what I said just a second ago. Many of these companies, not companies, many of these people in these positions of power, again, they're just used to getting their way. And it really needs, we need to fight back. So next post I want to get into, it is digital asset investor responding to that same post that I just referenced from the block, but his response was part of the overall plan. Go after the exchanges, then watch Wall Street all of a sudden have a crypto custody ready to go while the exchanges are in Gary Gensler / the SEC's purgatory, the same way they did Ripple, and also they did this to LBRY too. I'm just adding that they also have screwed over LBRY. The way they did Ripple and LBRY. Politicians working for Wall Street. Absolutely. And that's a commonality you'll notice with so many of these companies, that most of these companies are in the back pocket of Wall Street. It is what it is, man. Like, so, yeah, so the next post I want to get into, is over here. LBRY actually sounded off on a clip that was circulating within the crypto community from the oversight court hearing yesterday. So really quickly, I'm gonna play the clip they were responding to real quick before I read their statement.
An SEC official gives a speech at a conference, and the official begins, of course, by stating that, quote, their views are their own and not necessarily those of the commission. Anyone who's ever heard an SEC office official speak would know that this is standard, and they would not interpret the speech as legal guidance. However, let's say that the SEC official consulted SEC staff and perhaps even ethics directly to assist them in writing speech or giving guidance. Under this scenario, would the written speech still be considered personal views of the individual and not views of the commission?
Respectfully, I can't answer that right now because that hypothetical is a real scenario that's playing out in litigation.
Oh, what litigation would that be?
That would be the Ripple litigation.
Ripple XRP. So is it true that Director Hinman submitted his speech to ethics for approval?
Again, I can't comment on pending litigation.
Okay.
In response to this clip, the official LBRY account posted, "Hey, at Warren Davidson, in 2019, we voluntarily and foolishly presented to the SEC regarding the LBRY token. In that presentation, we went over the Hinman speech line by line. Oddly, no one in the room mentioned it wasn't official guidance." So again, and I'm really rooting for LBRY too. Obviously, what LBRY's been dealing with, it isn't as covered within the crypto world. It's not as covered as something like Ripple, but it's still something that people need to pay attention to, because at the end of the day, they're going through a similar situation where their entire project has been stifled from reaching what its full potential could be, because the SEC just decided, oh, we're gonna go after you, and we're gonna attack you because we want you to pay X amount of dollars. But anyway, next story I want to get into here is a post from James K. Fallon, and it reads, "Breaking: the SEC, in a heavily redacted letter alleging threats against an expert, asked Judge Torres to revoke Amici status granted to XRP holders and to bar John Deaton from any further participation in the case." Now, that to me, when I hear that, is extremely infuriating, because again, it's a prime example of what the media, what other people, what these governments, it's a prime example of what they're willing to do when they can't get their way, or you're getting in the way of their agenda. When you don't agree with them, when you're not lining up with the narrative, when you're not buying into the nonsense that they're selling, what the very first thing they're gonna want to do, the very first thing they're gonna try to do, is they are going to try to vilify you. They're going to try to demonize you. Byron Allen referred to this whole process as the 4D process, the 4Ds, right? What it means is the first one is dismiss, then discredit, then demonize, then destroy. Think about how things have played out within, for all XRP holders. Think about how things have played out for us. It's a similar process. They dismissed us, laughed at us, called us moon boys. Then they try to discredit us, try to say it's just a banker's token and it's this and it's that. It's not decentralized, putting out all this propaganda. Now they're in the phase where they're trying to demonize and destroy. They're trying. They've been trying. And they're getting so frustrated that it's not working. So guess what they're going to, again, they're going to keep doubling down on trying to demonize us. They're trying to say that we're bullying them. They're trying to say that we're threatening them. These people have sabotaged many people's investments, have cost people thousands of dollars, some people millions of dollars, but they're trying to act as if we're somehow some sort of threat to society. It's laughable. Jeremy Hogan responded to that post by posting, "Imagine you're a second-year law student who just started clerking at the SEC. Exciting. And then you are given the job of scrolling through Twitter and YouTube to look for anything that makes an attorney and 68,000 people look bad. So they could be attacked in a pleading. Imagine." Yeah, imagine. Imagine. Because I guarantee you, to even find anything remotely threatening and actually threatening violence or anything like that, they probably had to sift through who knows how much just regular people and regular posts before they can even possibly find even one post of somebody actually threatening them. You're gonna find way more posts of people reposting the Hinman speech. You're gonna find way more posts of people posting all the clips and information and evidence that this community has found on their own without the help of a lawyer, let alone with the help of lawyers like Jeremy Hogan, John Deaton, and James K. Fallon. I'm gonna end this video with a post here. It's a post that I wanted to get into. I believe it's from the Washington Post, and it's referencing Netflix. It says Netflix loses nearly 1 million subscribers, and its stock soars. And I'm gonna just read a quick excerpt from the article. Netflix outpaced its own gloomy quarterly forecast, stemming subscriber losses and posting higher revenue despite a more competitive streaming landscape and challenging economic environment. The company's financial results released after Tuesday's market close were widely anticipated. Though the loss of 970,000 paying users might typically not pass as good news, it's a veritable win compared with the 2 million the company had expected for the 3-month period that ended June 30th. That sent investors rushing in, powering the stock up nearly 8% in the after hours of trading. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there. You guys could check that out too if you want, but I wanted to mainly cover that real quick just to send the point home that a lot of what we're seeing in the market is irrational. Because to me, that's not good enough information for me to be that excited. Because all that sounds like to me is, okay, they lost a lot of subscribers, but just not as many as they thought they were going to lose, and they still made a good profit or higher profits than they thought they were going to this past quarter, which to me, that wouldn't be good enough for me. But at the same time, it's like the money GPS says, we're not at a point yet where there's really that much fear in the market yet. But let me know what your thoughts are on all this, and make sure you guys like and subscribe and leave your thoughts below in the comment section.